Ever since we launched Paxson, the AI that's specifically designed for chiropractic physicians here in Illinois, why would we use Paxson over tools like OpenAI or ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., Claude, whatever it may be that you use outside of the chiropractic world? And the answer to that question is really actually complicated. And so here we go. We're going to do a quick deep dive into why. Those models, those large language models, such as ChatGPT and Gemini or Claude or Perplexity, whatever you may be using, those are largely broadly trained models. So they're trained on this huge swath of information. In fact, many times you'll flip on the tool that allows them to search the web, and so they're searching this huge amount of information, some of it conflicting, right? Some of it not necessarily completely accurate. And so it's left to its devices to determine which is the most accurate tool, which is the most accurate information. And in that regard, you may find that it hallucinates. In fact, many of you have probably experienced that and seen that with those tools. Now, there are ways to dig into those and figure it out and determine, is it hallucinating? Is it making up this information? But when we designed Paxson, we did something different. We created it with what's called a resource augmented generation. In other words, we have trained it with very specific resources, primary source information that is either developed by the ICS or curated by the ICS from primary sources. So we'll go directly to regulatory bodies, experts, whatever else the case may be, to find the information that is specific for you, that is accurate, and it's going to provide you with the greatest level of accuracy and give you the best information. And in those cases, that's what we have trained Paxson with. Now, additionally, what else have we done? Well, we finely tuned it to be able to craft answers that are specific for your practice. Not just answers, but craft information, develop resources, create policy for you, help write scripts for emails, whatever else the case is. But all of that takes into consideration the information that we have told it to be smart about, that we have told it to be trained on. So it's not going into the universe of information that's out there, gathering incorrect information. Instead, it's curating its answers, or it's developing its answers through this resource augmented generation that's been finely tuned. The other thing that we finely tuned it to do is say, I don't know. And so when you ask it a question that is outside of its knowledge base, outside of what it has been trained on, Paxson is going to return an answer that is ultimately going to tell you, hey, this is outside of my information base, and I can't help you with that. So this isn't a tool that you're going to set your teenagers free to utilize to help write a paper for them in high school, unless it's chiropractic specific. But if they're going to write a paper on what they did this last summer, or if they're going to write something on, maybe that's specific to what their favorite food is, or whatever the case may be, it's not going to be able to generate that for them. It's not trained, it's not designed to do that. Instead, what it is trained to do is when you ask a staff member to create a policy that is specific and make sure that it adheres to HIPAA for social media posting, or create a script for a patient that you may be having some challenges with, or create a letter of rebuttal to an insurance company or to an attorney that may be telling you that you only get this amount of money for creating all of these copies for your medical records, whatever it may be. Paxson is trained to write those things for you, because those are the areas that Paxson's been trained on. Again, there's a reason why you would use Paxson in your practice, and we would encourage you to do that. It is a members resource. There is a public version. When you get to the front page, make sure that you click on the member version of Paxson, because you get very limited answers inside of the public version, but you get in-depth, lengthy answers inside of the private, the members only version of Paxson. You can go to ilchiro.org to access Paxson, or you can just go straight to Paxson.ai, which will take you inside of the ICS's website on the members only version. You'll have to log in to access that information, and that's where you can start really getting the help that you need for your practice. We'll catch you next week.